Lesson 77, Action Verbs. Catherine, in my books, I try my best to use terminology and grammatical terms that are as easy to understand as possible. And so when I talk about a verb that has some kind of action going on, I could choose any of several, special grammatical terms for that, but I call them action verbs just for the sake of simplicity. And so what I'm trying to do here is draw a distinction between a verb that simply shows being or existing and a verb that has some kind of activity going on in it.
That makes sense. And similarly, for verbs of being, there are other grammatical terms that you could use, but it's not necessary at this point. This isn't a textbook on English grammar where we have to learn all of the different terms. The main thing is function. So verbs of action, verbs of being communicate what you're going for. So it makes sense.
And the distinction that I'm making between verbs of being and action verbs, that distinction is not simply to learn about grammar, but it's also got a practical application because, as we will see in upcoming lessons, action verbs and verbs of being interact in different ways with the other words in the sentence.
Mm-hmm. And they affect what kind of endings different words are going to have in the sentence. And we'll get there soon. But the way that I tend to think of it is action verbs tend to have some sort of effect on other words in the sentence, particularly nouns, whereas verbs of being are almost like an equal sign in the middle of the sentence. So Alexander is a farmer. It's just an equal sign. Alexander and farmer are on either sides of the equal sign because it's just making a statement about what Alexander is, as opposed to Alexander plows the field. That's going to be a very different thing where there's no equal sign there. He's doing something to something else. It's an action verb.
And we're going to see how that plays out in Greek grammar as we go through the next few lessons. But in the meantime, just in your mind, draw a distinction between a verb of being and a verb of action, because we're going to see those behave differently as we go along.